Sick. Sweet. Welcome to Next Level CX, how AI is reshaping the BPO industry. I'll be the host today. My name is Ben Siegel. I'm the VP of CX at Thesis. Super excited to be hanging out with some of my friends in the CX industry today, Jose and Itai. We'll talk about them in just a sec. But what are we doing here? What are we talking about? Well, there's been an explosion of AI interest and adoption over the last year, especially in customer experience, CX, making leaders change how they talk about and think about CX. But smart business leaders look for proof beyond the hype to understand how AI plays into their CX strategy and not the other way around. Hear from an expert panel today of leaders in customer experience, customer support outsourcing, and CX AI to discuss a couple things. The new role AI is playing in customer service and support, balancing CX quality with AI automation, and real life case studies on delivering value with AI for CX. So, who are you going to hear from today? We got Jose. He is the CEO of Horatio, a great BPO that I have used in the past. And Itai, CEO of Loris, another one of tools that I've used at multiple companies now. So, really, really excited to get to dive in with these two and ask them hard hitting questions if I can and if they'll let me. So, the first one that I want to dive into is I want to ask the big question. And Jose, I think we're going to start with you. Why has AI become such a big part of the CX conversation?
Hey, Ben. Yes, I think that's the question that is on everyone's top of mind nowadays. It's why AI has become such an important part of CX. And I think it's primarily driven by the fact that there's a lot of things that AI can manage when it comes to streamlining processes for CX and making sure that the integration between AI and humans and human interaction in particularly brings empathy, emotional intelligence, and understanding of the customer interaction to make sure that the customers are being understood, and on the other side, ensuring that that human touch stays relevant. So combining technology to become a huge differentiator on your tech stack and on your CX has been critical. I think a lot of consumers are expecting brands to be available through whatever channel they want to reach out to the brand. And I think it's very important to leverage technology so you can actually position yourself and your brand as the best in class. And that is only accomplished by leveraging AI, but also never losing the human touch. And that's what we're seeing with a lot of the companies that we work with is they want to understand how you can continue leveraging AI, whether it's integrating a chatbot on your website, being able to streamline processes in the back end, and also make sure that that human touch continues to foster trust and establishes deeper connections between your customers and your brand.
Yeah, and Itai, let's start over to you.
So I think from a technological perspective, I think a lot about how when you build solutions in a B2C company, you play with the app. You work at Twitter, you're working on the app, you're a user of the app, you understand how to build it. When you do B2B, it's tricky because you're oftentimes building for folks you don't necessarily see, or you don't actually play with the system yourself. I think what really happened the last year or so, especially with ChatGPT and just this generative AI wave, folks can now play with this technology that they've heard about forever. So AI was this amorphous thing. Nobody quite understood what it meant. And then suddenly it's at the hands of basically your kids can try it. Anyone can play with it. So the possibilities now seem endless for everyone. Everyone has become almost a consumer of AI. So they have visions of what it might do for them and for their business, where it might go. So it's creating a lot of opportunity, a lot of interest, and also a lot of questions about, some early adopters have found good use cases. Folks who don't understand it as well think that because it applies well for marketing, maybe it applies well in other domains, but maybe it doesn't. So it's a lot of hype, and understanding what's real and what isn't is super top of mind, I think, for folks these days, and has driven a lot of interest in the space in general.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'll speak real quickly from like the brand perspective. I know that the company leaders, the CEOs, they're looking to the CX leaders for defined AI strategy, because they're watching the news, they're hearing all this, and they're thinking, how's that going to impact us? Are we going to need more heads? Do we need more heads, or is ChatGPT going to answer all of our tickets? Simultaneously, we need to balance like that automation and that cost efficiency with the overall experience and the brand identity. What is this going to do to what our customers think of us? And there's a lot of excitement around what is possible. Yet I think at the same time, there's this trepidation around, is it intelligent enough? Is it smart enough? Does it match my brand voice? Can I trust it? And I don't think we're there yet to a point where we can say, take your hands off and they'll take care of it. I'll dive into it with another question for both of you, and I think we'll start with Jose again here too. Is AI inevitable? Is there a possibility that BPOs and brands can go on as they have been without adopting some level of AI?
Yeah, I think while it's possible for some companies and brands to continue operating without fully integrating AI, I think it's definitely inevitable. I think these companies that don't incorporate AI into their offerings risk falling behind a rapidly evolving landscape and would remain very behind vis-a-vis their peers. I think AI offers numerous advantages that we're seeing, whether it's automating repetitive tasks, analyzing a lot of vast data sets, being able to audit all of the interactions and use tools like Lorix, for example, to understand how can the agent experience and the customer experience be combined to improve the entire customer experience journey by leveraging technology to continue delivering personalized interactions. I think that the brands and even BPOs for like ourselves that don't leverage AI may struggle to meet customer demands. I think that you have to figure out what is best for your brand in particular, but to the extent that you can leverage AI and adopt it into your offering, that is something that everyone should be considering. I think that it is something that we are having a lot of conversations, as Itai mentioned earlier in the year when we had the whole generative AI bus come to fruition. We had a lot of inquiries from customers saying, hey, how can I incorporate into my offering? Is there anything that I can do to automate some repetitive tasks? And that is something that at Horatio we already do, and we've already been doing for years, is making sure that we're constantly adding value to our clients without compromising the human touch. So I think that what is important is that we have to all understand that even though it's inevitable that AI is here, I think we have to understand that it's important to integrate it in a way that makes sense for your particular business and not just have a carte blanche to automate 100% of interactions, right? Because what we're seeing is a lot of the companies that are trying to push the boundaries when it comes to automating that percentage of interactions are suffering from churn on the client side. So you have to make sure that you're integrating in the right way, using the right technology, and continue to deliver on that promise to be human first.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Jose. The big thing that has shifted is there's this huge unlock now. The amount of data that has always been beneath the surface has primarily been untouched by most companies historically. Now that you have these machines and these models that can analyze almost everything that has happened, you have to figure out a way to use it. It doesn't mean that you eliminate humans. You actually augment and make the humans more important and better. You try to automate away the tasks that you don't need humans to do. You don't need 10,000 people to analyze conversations when the machine can help you do that, but then the humans can spend their time better and more useful in a more useful manner. Going through large swaths of data is probably the first place that I think about unlocking a tremendous amount of value for humans and for BPOs like Horatio that do an awesome job of communicating humans to humans. Humans don't want to do that, right? What we're trying to do is allow a tremendous amount of analysis in a place that would just never make sense before, because it would just be too expensive, too laborious, take too much time. And now when you have access to all this data, you start to learn a lot of things you had no idea about before. So it's like if I told you the calculator was invented, but you kept using pen and paper to do math, that would seem silly, right? There are certain tools that you should have access to and try to figure out how to make your org better. It doesn't mean it replaces anything. It should augment and make the experience and the human touch even that much more impactful.
Yeah, I love that. Couldn't agree anymore. I think, from what I'm seeing, brands have to be selective about where they're implementing AI. As a customer, it seems to me that there's been a lot of this like ready, fire, then aim, where brands have sort of rushed to adopt AI and haven't given much thought to the consequences. So I think we need better strategy around like where, as a brand, we want to implement AI. I think there's also been a lot of AI marketing that has made it seem very easy and straightforward. But the reality is that it may be more difficult and be a little bit more nuanced. And I think we need to do a better job of taking a step back and digesting all that is available to us as brands, and deciding what makes the most sense for us. On that, where we're thinking about balancing CX quality with the AI automation, I'm thinking about it, is there a balancing act between delivering that quality and all the benefit you see in automation? And I think personally, in terms of cost, it's really tempting to just want to say, yeah, I'm going to send all my customers over to ChatGPT and just hope for the best, and we'll get all the benefit of that efficiency. But if you've been keeping up with the news, there's like questionable quality there. So thinking about you guys, how are you seeing organizations decide on where to strike that balance? And I think Itai, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think again, you want to use it where it makes sense. So it's not I have to use AI X% of the time. It's really, where can it help my processes? And for a lot of folks that we speak to now, it's kind of understanding what AI can't do. So when you start using ChatGPT as an example, you go, this is an awesome tool for writing a blog or some marketing material, right? It sounds good. It sounds like someone wrote it. Someone fairly intelligent wrote it. But actually in our world, you want to get the right answer at the right time. You don't want to just sound like, you're talking about. You actually have to know what you're talking about. So we've actually found that there's a lot more value at the moment on the back end, actually analyzing conversations, helping humans sort through a bunch of data, surfacing the right things to look at. There's a lot of value there now, as opposed to on the front end communicating to a human and risking saying the wrong thing or being completely tone deaf. That's not a risk that brands are willing to take. But on the back end, it can do a lot of things, as I mentioned, just sifting through data and making sure the humans spend their time more wisely, but not necessarily communicating directly with customers where the stakes are really high. And we've seen that, with insights. We've seen that with, even QA. We can show you which parts of conversations or which agents you should look at, where you should spend your time. And then you can give the feedback any way you want to give it. But we can basically just optimize that on the back end and make your front end, and you can optimize your front end experience in a much more effective way.
Yeah, I would echo what Itai said. I think that on the analytics side, particularly on the predictive analytics side, we're doing a lot of work with our teams to anticipate customer needs and behaviors. And that allows us to improve future customer interactions and also facilitate personalized recommendations and work with our brand partners to target clients and in a very personalized way when it comes to marketing, whether it's through SMS or automated email campaigns, making sure that we're understanding future customer needs and predicting sentiment with tools like Loris, for example. When it comes to basic routine CX tasks on the back end, like order confirmations and follow-ups, we are definitely leveraging AI tools. Where it becomes a little bit trickier is making sure that your self-service portals are updated, because the chatbots feed off of these portals. And if you're not having your portals updated, then you're going to provide incorrect information to traditional and like very basic customer inquiries that could be answered if those self-service portals are updated. So we spend a lot of time auditing those portals and making sure that they're up to date. And also on the voice side of things, when it comes to integrating voice-powered virtual assistants to help customers with the low-hanging fruit items, is something that we've been successful with. I think it's very important to understand that a lot of the order management tools also provide outdated information. So even though the customer will provide you with the bot is going to provide the customer with the order number and say that it's been delivered or shipped, sometimes that information is not accurate. So we have to make sure that we have agents in the front lines ready to answer the questions after the bot provides inaccurate information to no fault of their own. So making sure that you're leveraging the technology in the right way, and understanding that there is still room for improvement on the AI side of things, but it really depends on all of us to make sure that all the information that we have, whether it's in our website or our portals, is up to date, so that we can continue leveraging these automated tools that have been so successful so far.
I love that. Great answers from both. As you guys were talking, I was trying to think of a quick story I could share, where something that I thought was going to be positive about AI wound up, not panning out the way I would have thought, or something that was funny. And one came to mind where we're trying some transcription on phone calls, to then use that open text to go through and tag, so that we can know the intent of that ticket. And at my company, Thesis, you can imagine that word thesis sounds not too far off from Jesus. And so there was a transcript that we saw come through where it said, "Hi, thanks for calling Jesus." And it flagged as something that would be negative, or something we should QA, because when would an agent say that? It might be taken as something that they were frustrated and said, "Oh, Jesus," right? And then we saw it come through, and in the context, it made sense that it was thesis. So it doesn't always work 100% as intended, and why there's still a need for human in the loop at some point. But there is a lot of great things that it's been doing for sure as well. One thing that I appreciate as a CX leader is hearing what's working from peers. So I wanted to give both of you guys an opportunity to share, one of your success stories of maybe Loris and Horatio together. And I think, Jose, I'll kick it off to you first. Any stories you want to share with the group?
Yeah, definitely. I think we have a mutual client with Loris that was growing very fast. It's a direct-to-consumer company that came to us early in the year. They were growing over 100% month over month. And it's a company that is in the health and wellness space. They really focus on providing high-touch human interactions, and they didn't want to compromise the quality of the interactions by automating everything when it comes to their bot and email management. And so one of the things that we did want to convey to them is integrating a tool like Loris to be able to analyze all of the interactions that we were handling, and understand from a quality perspective whether we were delivering on our promise of providing quality. They also had an in-house team that they were measuring ourselves against at Horatio, and with Loris's tool, with which Itai will elaborate a little bit more, we were able to actually demonstrate the value of Horatio and how much better our teams were in comparison to their in-house team, and that was primarily due to the QA tool that Loris provides. So I want to let Itai elaborate a little bit more about how the process went, because obviously Horatio facilitated the conversation, but we let Loris work with that particular client directly on the implementation, and making sure that that was an unbiased relationship between the client and Loris. So Itai, why don't you take it and talk a little bit about your experience working with that particular client?
Sure. So one of the things we pride ourselves on is getting up and running really quickly. So we implement very fast, within a couple of weeks. We have a lot of generalized models that work right away out of the box. You don't need to train for months and months like a lot of other tools. And so what we were able to do in this case was implement very fast, and then run our models across historical data and then live data immediately. So the client quickly gets a sense of, they get to see a lot of things they didn't know. So they see scoring on not only every conversation, but every interaction within every conversation. We have conversation markers and a score we call CQ for conversation quality, a bunch of things that they can grab immediately. One of the first things they saw, as an example, was a way to improve their macro usage. They could see which macros were working, which ones could be improved. From day one, they started playing with the tool and the platform and found ways to just improve everything that they were doing. And the most interesting thing that they found when analyzing the agents and the teams around the world was that the Horatio agents were actually outperforming dramatically their other agents. and obviously not planned, and that's, but Horatio tends to do that. They're fantastic, but the client immediately was able to analyze different agents, different teams, different places and geos in a way that they didn't have access to before. So I think the level of conversation that the client could have about their data, about their agents, about their service performance in general, I think was vastly improved, and pretty quickly. So it's very exciting. We've seen that those kinds of results replicated time and again. So that was really, really, really cool to see.
I love that. Jose, anything else to add on to the end of that?
No, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's very important to understand what tools are out there that can enhance your customer experience without compromising that human touch. And I think that through the Loris partnership, we were able to prove just that. And so it's important to understand what is out there for brands to learn a little bit more about tools that can enhance their overall customer experience.
I love it. Awesome. So I like when we can like keep these condensed and get all the good nuggets out in a quick enough time frame that everybody can watch it and digest it. So going to my sort of closing and key takeaways from listening to you guys, I think the most important thing is that you don't need an all or nothing approach, right? Iteration is the smart way to do this, right? AI, it can feel like a big idea. It can feel like too much. It can feel overwhelming, and it changes so quickly. But you can iterate, and right, you can do this little by little. And don't assume that you have good data. Assume that you have bad data, and then remediate from there. And another key takeaway that I think is, given how quickly the space is evolving, changing constantly, who knows what comes out next week and throws everything off what we think is normal today. There's this expertise that you guys have that sometimes we won't be tapped into as much. And there's so much that, we talk about tech debt. There's only so much that our product and engineering teams can really focus on at one given time. And then the idea of having to go back and reiterate. So I used to think about this battle of build versus buy. And as a VP of CX at these brands where I've been for a number of years now, I think that there is no time to build, honestly, and that we must be looking to buy in this world, because we just can't keep up with the level of expertise we would need and the constant change and evolution that's going on with it. So that's what I take away from the conversation. Any final closing thoughts from either one of you two guys?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. I've actually had that conversation like 4 times in the last 24 hours.
Wow.
The question of build versus buy, I think, is over. For better or worse, the amount of new technology that's coming into our world is happening at such a rate. It's not even drinking out of a fire hose. It's drinking out of many, many, many fire hoses, right? It's OpenAI and it's Google and it's open source. And if you're not sitting there accessing it, playing with it, figuring out what works and what doesn't, then presenting it to the market, you have no chance of building it in-house and keeping up. You really need very high-level technical data scientists, engineers to be able to do that. That is a big shift, I think, just in terms of the speed that things are happening today. And the second thing, I've told this story so many times, but I always come back to it. When the first Excel spreadsheet came out, you would assume that all the bookkeepers in the world, in the US, would go away. There were like 300,000 at the time. Today, there are almost 2 million bookkeepers, because now they do FP&A. Right, that's the interplay between the human and the machine. The machine will start to take away the stuff that the humans don't really need to spend their time on, and the humans will just do more and more sophisticated, more important work. That's the promise of how AI and humans work together to solve customers' problems, and that's what's going to continue to happen. So I totally agree with the sentiment. I think of it like a pyramid. You have to just keep climbing up the pyramid. Let the machines do the low-level stuff. The humans do the more important stuff, and that's kind of going to be the evolution in this world for quite a bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that is exactly what we've seen this year. It's that initial fear of, AI is going to replace 100% of human interactions, to, okay, actually, this is helping companies, and this is helping brands, and this is helping the agents, and it's not really replacing the agent experience and the human connection. It's actually making it better by working with the humans. And so we all talk about this human in the loop conversation, and that is where we see the industry going in the future, is that perfect synergy between AI and human experience. So super excited about what's to come, and obviously continuing to leverage tool and not think about build from scratch, as you mentioned.
You missed a huge opportunity, Ben, to ask us for predictions. It's the end of the year for next year. What are we going to be saying about Chat GPT 17? We're not answering it. We're out of time, but
it's more about next week, right? It's like, what is going to happen next week? It's changing so fast, and it's really, really an exciting time to be in this, right? Like this is history happening in front of our eyes. So it's really, really cool. I love that we're talking about it. I think you guys are the right people. I love hearing your opinions on it. And wanted to just thank you guys both so much for taking time out of your day to do this. It's an honor to be talking with you guys. And yeah, let's keep the conversation going. So if you have follow-up questions for any of us, hit us up, keep the conversation going on LinkedIn, and let's keep learning all together. And thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays.
You too.
Talk soon.